Tarot plays a big part in Nightmare Alley. Every chapter starts with a tarot card foretelling what will happen in the chapter. Three cards will define the main character's action and fate: the Tower, the Lover, and the Hangman. So last week I read Nightmare Alley by William Lindsay Gresham. This might be one of my favorite books I've read this year. Actually, I really liked this book. So this book is set in the 40s, and we're mainly following this one guy, Stan, who starts off in a carnival as a magician. So Stan is a crook. He's a con artist. He just goes from scam to get as much money as he can. As I said, he starts off as a magician for a carnival. Then he moves into being a mentalist with it's a two-person scam essentially with his girlfriend. And then after being a mentalist, he goes into the topic of the time, mainly the supernatural, and doing seances, so to try to talk with the other worlds, talk with spirits and ghosts. The seances is my favorite part of the book, actually. I like seeing all the ghosts and how he's able to produce said ghosts. Also, what I really enjoyed is how everybody else, not only Stan but everybody, are crooks in this field of investigation, if I could say like this. So everybody is just scamming people out to just make money, and they're making money out of other people's misery, actually. So because they usually the people who are doing seances is that they want to talk to dead relatives, and the crooks are just making money out of them, out of these people suffering. I won't go too far into the story because I don't want to spoil anything, but the title of the book comes from a nightmare that Stan has. So the Nightmare Alley is essentially this dream, this recurring dream that Stan has, of him running in a dark alley. There's a light at the end of kind of a tunnel in a way, type of things. Something follows him and he wakes up when that something catch up with him. So in his dream there's this light, kind of his goal, and he never really reaches it. And that's kind of mainly what happens in the book. Like, Stan has this dream and he's just trying to get it, essentially. That's a really good allegory, something that I really enjoyed from the book. I won't get too deep into it once again because I don't want to spoil anything, but it's really important for the book, and it has double meaning when you get to the end of the book. The dialogues, not only the dialogues, but the thoughts that the characters have. Like, at this one point there's this this strong man who's lifting weights. So Bruno, he's German, and the way he thinks feels really like German, like English is not your first language. And I really connected with this because I'm French and English is my second language, and the way he was thinking is almost like the same way I myself am thinking in English, or even speaking, with having these French thoughts but kind of translated in English. I don't know how to really explain it, but that really felt grounded, and it made the story all the more believable. It's just a small thing, but it really got my attention. That's where I was really into the book, and that's like page 13 or something like this. And that's where, it made the story this more believable, and it grabbed me just because of that small thing there in the book. It's just clever, there are all these smaller things within the book that just involves you into the story just because of how, as I said, grounded it feels. It feels like real events. And that's kind of the scary thing, that all these things could really happen in our world, essentially, because it feels like our world and it gets your attention. It's telling you that it's rooted in reality just from these first pages. it grabs your attention with carnival slangs, you know, and just as I said, the way the German is thinking was really natural to me, felt really like somebody who's not speaking English as a first language would think in English. I've touched a little bit about the horror elements, but I don't want to get too deep within that subject because once again I might spoil something, so I'm just going to leave it at that. You know, not knowing too much about the book is the way to go into it. It's a really enjoyable book. Don't watch the Guillermo del Toro movie. Unfortunately, it didn't do the book justice. I would recommend reading the book before even thinking about watching the Guillermo del Toro movie. It's still a good movie, don't get me wrong. It was really good movie, but the book is just that much better. It's one of these books that you're experiencing, and it's kind of hard, I think, to picture that in a movie, the feeling you have while reading the book. And unfortunately, you know, the Guillermo del Toro movie just fell a little bit short, mainly near the end. The ending of the book is just so much more powerful and have so much more impact than the movie, unfortunately. That's it for this review. Once again, I don't want to get too deep into the story or elements within the story just to not spoil anything. On with my random pick for next week. So on with next week's pick, I have my little toxic waste bag. Let's just grab these pieces of paper. All right, come here. Put that in my little skull. Give him the jiggle wiggle. What is Thomas Tarrant? Harvest Home. I can't wait to read Harvest Home. It was on my list for so long. I can't wait to actually read it. Just like Nightmare Alley was in my list for so long, I'm so glad I read it. At the same time, I'm glad I waited this long just because I'm not the same reader as I was when I started this channel. Actually, I grew so much more by reading all these different books, different genre of books also, and just talking about these books afterwards. I'm taking more clever notes, I think, than what I used to at the beginning, you know, from watching my previous video. I think I'm doing kind of a better job at explaining them. But let me know in the comments down below, you know, if you've read the book, if you liked it, even if you want to see a full-on spoiler review, I could do that, just to, you know, a discussion about the book and stuff like this. So next video will be this Friday. I'm going to do, at first I wanted to do a movie recommendations, but I think it's going to be my top 5 horror movie. So my 5 favorite horror movie. I don't know if it's only going to be, you know, here are my 5 favorite movies without any order, you know, of liking or stuff like this. But I don't know just yet, you know. Once again, if just let me know in the comment what you'd like to see and I'll adapt. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you Friday.